What goes on in the mind of a deer? A few months ago, I watched this video.
Now, Mr. Deer, can you please explain to me why on earth you feel the need to thrust your entire being at a car moving 80 miles per hour?
And it made me realize Tony P was right. Why do some deer jump into cars? I started thinking about deer and more questions kept popping up. What does a deer like to eat? Do deer have routines? What does a deer think about the current economic and political landscape of the world? I needed to get answers. But where would I find a deer that I could interview? I went to a random airport and ended up in Japan with my friends Max and Chris. I was on a journey to find deer. I went to Shibuya Sky to look across Tokyo, but all I saw were buildings, no deer in sight. After, I went to this cool art facility called Team Labs, but all I could see were fish, no deer in sight. I knew I had to start looking at better places, so I went to Kichi Kichi Omurice next, but all I could find was that very fun and cool omurice chef all over YouTube. No deer. But eventually I learned about Nara, a city full of deer. The closer I got to Nara, the more deer I saw. Until eventually, I made it and was immediately greeted by a deer. I was a bit nervous. How would the deer react to the questions? Would they really open up to a human?
So I'm here in Nara, Japan. I'm here to see some deer. I'm ready to befriend these deer and ask them the really deep, meaningful questions. I'm joined today by that guy. His name is Max. Yeah. My goal, serenading the deer.
To get a successful interview, I needed to befriend the deer so they would open up. To befriend deer, the first step was to buy these deer-specific cookies, which turns out deer enjoy eating. While I was getting cookies, Max was greeting deer. The second step was to find a deer, and this was not hard. Literally the moment I walked with food, deer immediately swarmed me.
Bro, oh god. Wait, this is actually kind of freaky. Hello, Mr. Deer. Would you like some food? I think... the deer, I'm getting attacked. The deer are so aggressive. I'm supposed to be befriending. We're getting attacked. We're getting jumped. Oh, shoot. Oh god. No! Don't leave them to me. So I think I found a deer that's friendly that I could interview. Oh shoot.
I was fearing for my life. I needed to get this swarm of deer away from me.
This is the most chaotic video I've ever made. I can't interview a single deer.
I literally resorted to placing food in the opposite direction of where I was heading and just giving deer food to make them stop moving. But my attempts didn't matter. Deer kept following us until they got distracted by other tourists. Now that I wasn't being swarmed, it was time to interview deer. I wasn't confident that the deer would open up, so the plan was to start with easy questions, then progress into hard questions.
Oh, there's a solo one. It bowed. You see that? You catch that? I'm here to ask you questions, and every time you answer a question, I'll give you a cookie. I'll start with the easy one. How's life living in Japan? What do you do in your free time? That is pretty fun. I don't like the going near cars, but that's very fun. Mr. Deer, what's your favorite food? I see. It's one of these cookies I see. How's living life in Japan? Yo, Mr. Deer, what's your favorite food to eat? Mr. Deer, do you like seeing tourists? What's your morning routine like? What's your morning routine? Oh, shoot.
We're not supposed to throw them.
What's your morning routine? Yeah, I think eating is a part of that. That does make sense. Oh, thank you for your enlightenment.
Meanwhile, Max was doing this.
Pigeon. Slowly zoom in. Yep, there we go. Pigeon. Here, I'm gonna start asking hard questions. Oh, Oh, well, this one's very polite. Thank you, Mr. Deer. Why do you think some deers jump into cars? Hey, I know it's a hard question.
What do you think about the drug overdose crisis in Vancouver?
Chris, this is the wrong demographic. This deer's from Japan. It's clearly confused. You know why the plural of deer is deer and not deers? That's a hard question, I know. What do you think about the current economic and political landscape of the world? Wow, that was deep. I guess I'll feed the bird. Yo, Mr. Pigeon. He stole the pigeon's food. You have been a horrible guest to be part of this show. Dear, I'm disappointed in you. Even Chris is disappointed in you. He's shaking his head right now. See, the camera's shaking. Why do you think some deers jump into cars?
Yeah,
I kind of get it.
you really do, yeah.
I kind of get it. Mr. Deer, you were being so enlightening. Mr. Deer, you deserve this for your deep answers and for all your help. Thank you. Mr. Deer, you deserve the world. I finally know the answer. I'm enlightened. I am enlightened now. Mr. Deer, thank you for your time. Thank you for all your help in this matter. I really appreciate it. Like, honestly, you've been so good. This deer is so chill. Give a round of applause for Mr. Deer. The deer are very hungry. That's my impression. Whenever you had food, they approached you. But it was very cool. It was very cute. What do you think, Max?
It's kind of like people.
I think I learned a lot about deer. My hair is blowing in the wind. Deers are great.
There's pigeons
The
here.
pigeons are cool.
Have you tried feeding the pigeons? What did you think about pigeons?
I think pigeons are great.
I left Nara happy. From those conversations, I now understand the many mysteries of the world. After that experience, I went to Tony P's video and thanked him. Thank you, Tony P, for inspiring me to interview deer. I have learned knowledge that surpasses everything I have ever learned in the past. Wow. Deer are great.